These are the scariest animals that should never exist. The star-nosed mole. In case aliens would ever land on the Earth, they would resemble the star-nosed mole. The mammal is a tiny creature found in North America that possesses 22 fleshy tentacles that grow out of its snout. It touches them to sense what it is eating and recognizes food in milliseconds. It, in fact, is the quickest feeder of the animal kingdom. It can determine whether something is edible within a shorter time than you can even blink. Horrorously effective and strangely cute.
The leafy sea dragon. The leafy sea dragon is floating in the southern coast of Australia, and it appears like the seaweed that learned to swim. It is covered with fin-like leaves, so fine that the predators cannot even notice that it is alive as it moves so gracefully. It is a cousin of the seahorse, and the males, yes, the males, carry the eggs till they are hatched, evidence that there are occasions when the sea is the finest painter on the planet. The dinosaur bird. This bird doesn't chirp. It whets its huge beak with typewriter. The shoebill stork of Central Africa is 5 feet in height and resembles one that came directly out of the Jurassic period. It is a predator of fish, frogs, and even baby crocodiles, with its piercing stare and prehistoric posture. When it looks right at you, you know you are not looking at a bird. What you see is evolution that is not going. The saiga antelope. The saiga antelope, which is found in Central Asia, has one of the weirdest noses of any animal. It is bulbous, drooping, and as flexible as a little trunk. It cleans dust and cools the air, and then reaches the lungs and is able to withstand in dry and difficult climates. Unfortunately, this strange beauty is in grave danger, but its presence is evidence that evolution does not always involve grace. It involves survival. The pangolin. The pangolin is covered in scales, of overlapping scales of the same stuff your nails are made of, which is called keratin. And when he is in danger, he rolls himself up into a perfect armored ball. It is entirely covered with scales, and as it walks on his hind paws, he appears to be a small prehistoric animal. It is also one of the busiest animals in the world, but regrettably, it is hunted using its scales and meat. So queer, so very frail, but so very heart-wrenching. The blue dragon. Here you have the blue dragon, or Glaucus atlanticus, a sea slug which was evidently dropped in by accident out of another world. It swims on the surface of the ocean too upside down, and feeds on the venomous jellyfishes, and retains their stingers in their body. On danger, it discharges that venom, more powerful than the original jellyfish. The goblin shark. The goblin shark appears at first as having been a horror movie escapee. It has a long, flattened snout, which conceals a forward-shooting jaw that emits like a spring-loaded trap when it strikes. It is not easily seen by humans, as it lives deep below the surface. It is also referred to as a living fossil, as its ancestry is 125 million years long. Evidence that the deep sea never received the news that evolution is on the move. The glass frog. The glass frog appears like any other frog in the rainforests of Central and South America, but when you invert it, it turns out to be a frog of a different color. Then you find it all through, heart and liver and intestines, all apparent through transparent skin. The yeti crab. The yeti crab was found in the South Pacific, and it is white, fuzzy, and inhabits the place where the sun does not shine. It sprouts hair-like filaments on its claws with which it cultivates bacteria, a personal source of food in the dark. It is foreign and clever, and living in boiling water and close to the toxic vents. This raggedy little survivor should not be there. Giant weta. The heavyweight champion of insects. The giant weta weighs the same as a small bird, 71 grams, and is the tallest insect, reaching up to 10 centimeters. This herbivore is a cold leaf eater, though so large, and he goes about pillaging plants at night. It spends the day in holes dug by beetles, where it enlarges its accommodation with strong jaws. Although it would rather flee in the bushes, the ecological action of the weta resembles that of rodents, where it cleanses dead or diseased insects. This giant insect shows that the largest insects may have a tender aspect. Northern stargazer. The sand-lurking preys. Buried in the sand with an expression of permanent surprise. The northern stargazer is a fish, which makes the ocean floor a trap of death. Its mouth and eyes are located at the top of its flattened, speckled body,
and are just in time to detect prey that is swimming past. It has a pink, worm-like lure hanging out of its mouth, wiggling to lure inquisitive fish. When one gets close, bam! With a single strike, the stargazer drains it. This is a master of disguise and deception, and is a 20 to 46 centimeter long sneaky predator found on the U.S. Atlantic coast. Bearded vulture, the bone-eating bird. The bearded vulture, with a wingspread wide enough to 2.8 meters, is a giant which feeds on bones and inhabits the mountains. The large bones are swallowed whole by its elastic esophagus. The bones, skin, teeth, and hooves are dissolved by its hyperacidic stomach. In the case of the oversized bones, this clever bird flies high and throws them down on the rocks, breaking them into bites. Bearded vultures are scavengers, and therefore they clean up mountain ecosystems. And it proves that even the most depressing of diets can be used in a noble cause. This is a titanic bird that crunches the bones. Armored cricket, the spiky warrior. The armored cricket is covered by spines that are like thorns, and he is a walking fortress. Its jaws are capable of attracting human blood, and it is not afraid to bite. It survives in extreme environments, repelling its enemies with a multi-layered armor, screeching, hemolymph squirting out, and even vomiting up its last meal to make itself disgusting. To make it even more insane, these crickets are cannibals, and they clean up after a fight in order not to be consumed themselves. This spiny, vomiting warrior is evidence that the most difficult animals that nature has to offer are small.